I am here with Lauren. We're at RT60 at the Hard Rock Hotel, New York. You have so much going on, my friend. Congratulations on everything so far.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, you know, I love that you're a big rock dude. I remember back in probably middle school for me, that was the genre I gravitated towards, just because I feel like for rock, it can tap into emotions so much easier, I feel like, because it could either be the lyrics, the melodies, or the instrumental.
Right.
You know, whereas in pop or hip hop, I feel like it's rare where just the beat alone or the instrumental alone can stir up feelings.
Definitely. Like, not to take anything away from, you know, other genres, but I think it has a lot to offer in terms of like moving people. Like, it has a lot of potential, you know, with like different types of emotions instead of just, you know, like one specific vibe where it's like, but again, you know, not taking anything away from other genres, but yeah.
Is that why you first gravitated towards it, or what pulled you in?
You know, I was an angsty little kid in a country where I didn't speak the language, you know, with a bunch of kids that I guess kind of made it hard for me to fit in. So there was a lot of that, like, internal, you know, like, not depression, but, you know, like that solitude kind of got to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, right around the time, like, MTV was like blasting like all these like emo bands, which basically, you know, revolves around like feeling like left out and like misunderstood.
Yeah.
And so it just pretty much like pierced me like right in the heart.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever moved away from it. Like, it's weird. Like, I have this obsession where it just feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, music that revolves around like guitars and like that entire culture. But it's hard for me to almost like pinpoint this is where I started liking it, because it came so like instinctively. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you were going through all that in school, do you feel like that type of music kind of furthered your sadness or, you know, anxiety, whatever you had going on? Or do you think there was a relief because you were like, oh, look at other people are going through the same thing?
I think a little bit of both, but I think at the time I didn't, you know, because they've created something so beautiful out of that emotion, but I don't think I had the belief that I could create something like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it almost, you know, it puts you in a spot where it almost like that makes you dive in deeper.
Yeah.
But like, you're kind of comfortable there because that's as far as you can go. Like, you hit rock bottom, like you're in that zone.
For sure.
But there's a certain sense of like comfort in knowing that, you know, you're not alone there. So
Who were the artists you grew up on?
Definitely like of the emo genre, My Chemical Romance, like hands down. I think they're 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge and Welcome to Black Parade were like my go-to, you know, school bus, like mute everyone else music. But I did progress into, you know, other types of rock music, and I think I kind of not settled, but I was most fascinated by like the whole post-punk revival movement of like early 2000s, and I think my music hopefully kind of reflects that. So
yeah. And you have this awesome relationship with Blackpink. Kind of briefly go over how you guys became friends.
So I was never friends with them to begin with, like in the beginning.
Yeah.
I only like ran into them and, you know, I'd be like starstruck and, you know, say hello. Yeah. Rosie had this Instagram live thing where she needed a guitarist. And so they were kind of searching for one. And I guess someone brought up like, oh yeah, there's this producer who plays guitar.
Yeah.
And so she actually was like, you know, do you want to do this thing with me? And I specifically told her, like, I'm not a good guitar player.
Right.
Like, I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
I'll probably like mess up and disappoint. But yeah, the live was a vibe, you know, like even with like all the little mistakes, like it felt very like organic. And I think from that point on, we kind of progressed into friends.
Yeah.
And then, you know, through her, I met the other girls, and then eventually, you know, working with them and stuff, I think we became a lot closer. So
do you think you'll ever be able to convince Rosie to do like a full-blown rock EP?
I very much hope so. I think that would be crazy. I I actually thought of that a lot. I think like all the Blackpink girls, like, the whole like not pop punk, but like, that like Avril Lavigne, Paramore kind of track. I always had this idea that it'd be really cool for them to try it. But I guess it's up to them, Like,
totally. I think especially Rosie, her voice would really lend itself well to that.
Oh, definitely. I think that'd be very cool. Yeah.
So what do you think it is? I mean, there's so many artists trying to cross over into the US market. What do you think it is about them and your music now that's really breaking through and connecting with people here? Is there a common thread?
I guess I can only speak on behalf of myself, but a lot of the stuff that I listened to when I was growing up came from the States and London, and I always felt like I really did want to kind of, I guess, like not compete, but I did want to like leave a mark where I got all these things from,
right? Because
I really felt like it was almost like the Hall of Fame, like this is where it all started. This is where it's like burning. So I was naturally inclined to kind of make my way back here and hopefully, reach an audience.
Awesome. You did Coachella. That must have been such a surreal moment for you. What artists do you look up to when it comes to stage presence and performance? Who do you look at and you're like, I need to do something along those lines?
That's a very cool question, man. So I think growing up, my guitar, because I began as a drummer and then I became a guitarist, like a rhythm guitarist, because I was never good at, like solos and stuff. I think my idol was Nick Valenci from The Strokes. He's a very tall, very skinny guy. And then I think stage presence wise, Frank Iero from My Chem is very cool. I think he's like just one of the coolest like rhythm guitarists out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like maybe Kurt Cobain, maybe Jack White, like, very, I guess, cliche answers to a certain point. But I really like watching live videos and like just music videos and like, the little things that they do, whether it be like a flinch or like a hair or whatever.
Yeah.
There are points where I'm just like hooked onto it and I gotta like replay it.
Yeah.
Just to see like what about that little movement made it so, cool.
Even with Kurt, what I love is he was going through so much pain, but if you listen to even the MTV Unplugged and stuff, his banter in between songs, he was a really funny guy.
He's hella funny.
Yes, and that was towards the end, so he just had this humor that I think really engaged the crowd and his fans in a completely different way. So those are all good answers. I know at Coachella you did get a chance to meet one of your idols, Travis Barker. It was just brief. You guys didn't do a lot of chit chat, but have you had a chance to meet any of your other idols up to this point?
I've met so many great artists, but definitely I met Damon from the Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he is Gorillaz. Like, but that was a night to remember. Like that was the first time. I usually had this thing where I don't really get nervous that easily.
Yeah. And
as soon as I saw him, I was like shaking.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I told him was like I love you. Like great to meet you. I love you. I actually have a tattoo on my back of a car that they used for the Stylo music video.
Did you show him or were you like, this isn't appropriate right now?
I wanted to make an impression, so I did show him.
Yeah.
Like this is how much. And, he was such a nice guy. And we actually talked for like 10, 15 minutes about like creation and music and how he got to where he is. And I can still like almost word for word, like recall what he said.
Yeah.
And I think that was just amazing. But, also with Travis, I think my first pair of drumsticks were the Travis Barker signature ones.
Yeah.
And they're actually like painted white. So if you hit cymbals like often enough, it actually paints like the rim of the cymbals white.
Yeah.
And I used to set my drums up exactly like, cymbals like crash would be like super, super high. And he was like, back when he did like the Soulja Boy cover and like all these other things, like he was so like revolutionary for all drummers. So
yeah.
So it was crazy, to kind of coexist with all these people. That, I knew that they were somewhere on the globe, but to actually interact with them, like in real life, like that was an experience,
I know you've written for other artists now. I don't think you've sang a song that was written by someone else yet, though, right?
Nothing official.
Would you do that?
Yeah, definitely. During the sessions in LA, I had a chance to work with some amazing producers.
Yeah.
And although I think in the beginning, just because I started this thing in solitude, I was so used to just writing everything myself. But it's so refreshing to see someone, like I would have something in my head, but someone else would do something completely different.
Yeah.
And to see like their take on it, it's such an experience. Like there's so much to learn. And I think at the end of the day, if it's good music, it's good music. And
does it feel different though when you're singing a song that was written for you as opposed to you coming up with the words yourself?
It does feel different because I think I write very like vaguely. I don't think my lyrics are very like specific. So I think if it comes from someone else, it might have a more specific theme or like an idea or something. Yeah. But I do try to put my own spin on it, even if it is a song that's written already. But the few that I did in LA that was written by other people have been amazing. So like even more so now, I'm very open to singing songs by other people.
Cool. Lauren, thank you so much. Congrats on everything.
Thank you. And yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.